Am I allowed to hate? To hate someone? To hate someone in particular that might be close to me? Is there any room for it? Furthermore, even if you're allowed to hate for whatever reason, which we need to understand if there could be a reason to hate, isn't hate a very negative quality? Isn't it something that's destructive from within, let alone from without? So how could you hate somebody in a healthy way? Maybe we should just stick to love. Where, the common culture tells us to. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuchen Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We are in chapter 32. Chapter 32 in Hebrew is Lev, Lamed Beis, meaning the heart. It's the heart of Tanya. So in the heart of Tanya, we're speaking about love. An inherent love that there is by the very fact that we love ourselves. But of course, why do we love ourselves? So if we love ourselves because of our uniqueness, separateness, specialness, that stems from everybody's body is separate, unique and different, in the sense that the body only feels its pain. It cannot feel anybody else's pain. The body can only feel when it's hunger. Doesn't feel someone else's hunger, not the body. So if we feel our love for ourselves is because stemming from the body, meaning that I am separate and different and unique in who and what I am. I'm, a great this, a terrific that, so on and so forth, and that's why I'm enamored and love myself. Well, I'll only love somebody else as much as they're going to feed my body or feed my needs. The more you feed my needs, the more I love you. The less you feed my needs, or if I have an expected need and that's not fed, going to fall out of favor. And that's why we have a 50% divorce rate today, is because you're not meeting my needs. You're a wonderful person. I'm nothing against you, but just, you're not feeding my needs, filling me. That's the love that stems from the body. Love of the soul, though, is a love that stems from the fact that all Jewish souls are one. All Jewish souls are bound up with each other in the source above. We all come from the same root place of Jewish souls, and hence Jewish people are not figuratively related to each other, but literally from the soul perspective, we are brothers and sisters. We are one. So from that perspective of the soul, there's a bond, there's a connection, and a love for every other Jew, because if you love yourself from the soul perspective of being a Jewish soul, well, the other Jew has the same soul. And therefore, the love is for them as it is for yourself. Which is quite a powerful fact of the uniqueness of the Jewish people and the Jewish soul. how do we understand that with the teachings of the Talmud? There's a statement in the Talmud, in the tractate of Psachim, that deals actually Passover. There's a statement there that says that if you see a friend sinning, doing something against God, it says that you should hate him. You should also relate the fact to his teacher, that he will also hate him. How does that conform with what we just spoke about? If that person has a soul, a Jewish soul as I do, and if I love myself, not because I'm not a non-sinner, but because of my soul, well, that person has just this very same soul. So this seems to be somewhat contradictory. So we're going to start the discussion today and continue it tomorrow. And that is, this is only speaking about a Torah observant scholar who then went off the path and is sinning. And you happen to be their study partner or their friend, right? This person lapsed in observance. And therefore there's a mitzvah to hate them. But that's only after you've fulfilled another commandment, and that's that you should rebuke your friend. You have to rebuke your friend. And you have rebuked him repeatedly, right? And the term says your people. So it says S, which the word S means is with you. In other words, someone of your people, of the Jewish people that is with you, meaning that is on the kind of the same level as you, same commitment as you, and was with you even as a study partner, as a chavrusa. And you, that person, you have rebuked for their ill ways. They haven't changed their ill ways. So now it becomes a mitzvah to hate them. So just, that's actually the end of the class. It's just literally a few lines. So, you can't judge a person. So what are you doing judging this person? Very good question. How does that fit in with loving that person? So the truth is, tomorrow we're going to get a more clear answer on that. I'm not going to get a clear answer today because it's tomorrow's teachings. But we will get. Is it, are you not to judge a person? Didn't we explained yesterday that not to judge, the person's actions, and that's who they are. 100%. How does that fit in over here? You're judging their actions, and you can judge an action, right? But you can't judge them and say, oh, you are your actions, and therefore define them by that. And we'll see tomorrow, actually tomorrow and the day after, we'll get greater clarity. I'm sorry, it's like in the middle of a thought. But I do want to bring out something that we could in this teachings, is that rebuking somebody. So you're only supposed to rebuke somebody if they do something wrong, if they will first possibly listen, right? If they're not going to listen and they're ignorant, so then by telling them, you kind of make something inadvertent into deliberate. So we have to be careful. Furthermore, we have to be careful how we rebuke somebody, that we do it for their sake, not for self-righteousness. Not that I feel self-righteous about myself and I rebuke them. No, out of the humility, out of being pained that somebody did something wrong. Yeah. So, yeah, rebuke, you have to be very careful that you're not trying to get back at somebody because they hurt you. It has to be for their sake, to help them to come back to the, to the straight path. That's very, very important. And who are you rebuking here? It's a friend of yours who you know, so you know how to talk to them. To rebuke somebody that you don't know, that's very questionable. If you can do that. We'll see tomorrow more details on that. But right now, all we know is that it's a Torah scholar. We're talking about a real committed person that's being rebuked by a colleague. That's the only instance that we know that there's a concept of hatred in, amongst the Jewish people. So I got to share something. Last night here in Montreal, there was a gathering in a synagogue, and there was a protest by Palestinians, and unfortunately, some Jews were involved, very ignorant, and one of them actually got inside into the synagogue and started doing whatever foolish things and got escorted out. So how do you look at that person? It's like, to be on the side of Hamas, the Palestinian people. Yeah. So security took her out, and rightly so. But as I spoke to some of the security team is from our synagogue that went to a different synagogue to help them, that should not be done with a glee. It should be done with pain. What an ignorant person this is. And, doesn't recognize their Jewishness properly, doesn't recognize, Torah mitzvahs appropriately, and it's very painful. Not something to have a glee, oh, I got rid of this rotten person. As we will learn more, what they did is rotten, but that doesn't make them rotten. Yeah. So said, and likewise, I mentioned yesterday about an incident the day before that there was also a protest not far from, by the Federation, Jewish Federation, which is a block away from me, block and a half. away and a block away from me, a friend of mine that, the protesters were on the property, on my friend's property, and we have to know that evil really doesn't exist. It only is given permission to rear its ugly head by God Almighty, because God gives the power to evil to rear its ugly head in order that we should respond to it as a Jew. So we should respond to it as Hasidim. And we don't respond to them that they, evil doesn't touch you. We don't let it touch us. We don't let it control us, for sure not. Yes, we need to stand up to it, and sometimes we have to holler at it, as we spoke chapter 29 and 30. Well, how we have to deal with it within ourselves. Sometimes we have to scream at it. Absolutely. So sometimes you have to stand up to evil and holler at it. Not because they've touched you and they are that evil has touched you. No, because that's the response that is necessary. That's the godly way to be. And sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary to remove a person from a place, because that's the godly response. You don't engage with the evil. Have a conversation. There's no conversation to be had. There's just the proper way to how to deal with it, the godly way. Yeah. Stan, Mazel Tov to you. It's Stan's birthday in London, England. Mazel Tov. Should be a Shnas Bracha Batzlacha, year of blessing and success and everything. Your heart's desire for good. Should be an amazing year of learning. And wow, beautiful. Thank you for joining. So today's class in his honor. Any learning for the hostages? Thank you very much. Adoptahostage.net. Jeff, when God destroyed the human race because of the sinning with alcohol and other deviant ways in Genesis, was he acting upon the same thing you are talking about? Why was he not loving the fellow Jew in this instance? Well, that was by Noah. Noah, was before, 10 generations before Avram Avinu, before Abraham came and, started the Jewish journey, if you will. So there wasn't. And, death and destruction doesn't necessarily mean, that there's ultimately, everything is with a purpose and everything is ultimately God's goodness, even though we may not experience it then. May not, but we believe that. So our actions matter, and we create a reality. And we create a reality that when we, disconnect from the divine source of life, so then life comes, not through that connection. It's like the Jews in the story of Purim. Purim is coming, and the Jewish people kind of threw their lot with Achashverosh. Came to his party and they celebrated. They felt, oh, now we're important people. We got called to the party of the king, and we're schmoozing and part of with the elite of society. So they kind of threw their lot with Achashverosh. that, he's our protectorate, as opposed to God is our protector. So, well, the nature of the world is we are one sheep in a world of 70 wolves. Well, if you don't have the shepherd there taking care of the sheep, then wolves will attack. So if we take off our connection to God, so then we're doing that, and then that gives a place, a space that the enemies of Israel can do harm. God forbid. But in any case, that was, that's the concept. So that it's in our hands and our deeds and what we do. I hope that helped, Jeff. Thank you for your question. All right. We're going to continue the conversation. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. Thank you. JLI tonight.